I am outside at a park. I decided that I'd be doing these 1 year updates every year just to check in and see where I'm at in life every single year. And yeah, when I made my last video about feeling behind in life, I don't know. I guess I did feel really hopeless, if I'm being honest. Like, I really was feeling quite hopeless. But things did change for a brief period. And now I kind of feel like I'm back in that spot again. It kind of feels like stuff was going on, making me feel like progress is being made. And then everything stopped. Everything that I thought was going to move me forward and towards the things that I thought I wanted, those all came to an end. And yeah, they ended up being a lot harder than I expected them to be as well. But isn't everything in life? If anyone sees this, I guess you guys would also be following along on the journey with me and watching me hopefully make progress. Although the more I experience in life, the more questions I have, or maybe not questions, but I think it's more about defining things for myself, defining success and progress for myself. And if I'm being honest, a lot of the ways that I measure myself are more about who I am internally. And I think the more I develop those internal things, the more I progress with my internal goals, the ones that people can't see and can't clap for, the more outward success or progress I'll see, or at least that's what I hope. So yes, I do still feel behind in life. I feel behind because I'm currently unemployed. Although funny enough, I'm starting a new job next week. Like, I got the call this morning that I'll be starting a new job next week, Monday. But I was unemployed for 4 months and it hurt so much because I took a job shortly after I made my last video about feeling behind. I took a job last year that I was apparently overqualified for. Like, the people who hired me were definitely getting bang for their buck. And I thought that, what, if I knock their socks off, they'll have no choice but to keep me on permanently. And I really did work myself to the bone. I did way more than I should have. I did other people's work for them, and it hurt so much that I would be leaving that job, making other people look good, and not securing anything for myself, like not securing the stable career that I thought I'd be securing for myself. And it's worse because I was working at a place where I went to school with a lot of the people who work there, and they were in better positions than I was. And yes, they were not black. And in this specific environment, as much as I've always wanted to be one of those people who's like, your color doesn't matter, it's about how hard you work, I slaved away there. I genuinely did. And other people were rewarded off of the back of my hard work. And it hurts. It really hurts. I think also not having a job, I think the thing that sucks about that is just not having the financial freedom that I want to have, because if somebody else is giving me money, like someone who's not my job, they have a say in what I do. Like, what justifies them giving me money, or I don't know, if you don't have a stable career, then you don't have financial freedom. And unfortunately, we live in a world where if you want to do stuff, if you want to truly be free, it's not about being a decent human being, it's about having money. So the fact that I didn't have a job for such a long time means that I was not financially free. I actually don't have any friends anymore. Not a single friend. Or maybe my definition of friendship is very strict. But the people that I did have around me last year, the very few people, are all gone. I had a best friend, and then I started to realize that, I don't know, I guess I didn't really feel like she was putting in as much effort as I felt like I was. And granted, I think one of the ways that I went wrong was not stating my expectations or even how I view friendship, or, what having any kind of a relationship with me, would entail. I've never told anyone that. I think I've just always been conditioned to accept the things that people give me, the crumbs that people give me, and trying to feel gratitude for those crumbs. But having crumbs is not the same as eating a slice or a loaf. I was hungry, I was starving to be loved the way that I want to be loved. And so I've honestly just been on a journey where I've been opting to be on my own, learning about myself, giving myself the love that I want and that I desire, instead of just accepting any and everything from other people just because I'm afraid to be alone. I don't have a stable or solid romantic partner. It's another way that I feel behind. And it sucks because I am a hopeless romantic. I thought by now, because I turned 29 like almost 2 weeks ago, I thought by now, maybe not married, but by now I would at least have a boyfriend, a partner, a life partner, someone who we're like, yeah, we're gonna do this life thing together. And I do feel lonely, I when I go to bed and I'm having a particularly hard day, or even when I have a happy day, just that feeling of not being able to share with anyone, it does get to me and it does hurt. My current fears are that I'm never going to be financially free, which means that I'm never going to be able to escape my parents' input. Because if I live with them, if I accept money from them, then it means that the money comes with terms and conditions, and I have to be making the decisions that they want me to make. And ultimately, something that I've something that I've known for pretty much my whole life is that my parents and I don't see eye to eye at all. Like, we don't see the world the same at all. And to get the autonomy that I feel I need that financial freedom and independence. I fear that I'm going to be completely socially isolated. I fear the loneliness, and loneliness is something that I've struggled with pretty much throughout my whole life, and I know the effects of loneliness just on my mental health. So I'm afraid that my mental health is going to deteriorate. Like, the times when I've been the most isolated have also been the times when I've been the most depressed and wanting to just end this whole thing right then and there. I'm laughing, but it has gotten that real. I fear that I'm never going to find love. Am I unlovable? Is there really something so deeply wrong with me that there is absolutely no one on this planet who would want to love and be with me. Another thing that I fear is that I am just painfully mediocre and average, or worse. Am I a loser? So, like the last time, I really do feel that I've grown as a person, and a previous version of me would have stopped there at the fears, and I would have let myself spiral and just continue to believe those harmful thoughts. I mean, they are real, and that's why I want to acknowledge them, because I also don't believe in toxic positivity by just saying, oh, it's all going to be amazing and great and everything's going to work out, because it doesn't always feel that way. And I think sometimes one of the first steps to solving an issue is just even acknowledging that there is a problem, or at least acknowledging that there's things that I am unhappy with that I'd like to change. But I want to challenge some of those fears, because I know that some of them are not true. So let's challenge my fears. I have gotten job interviews. I mean, last week I got 2 job interviews, and I'm going to be able to eventually make money. Okay, like I said, this morning I was accepted into a position. It's a completely different position than anything I've ever worked before, but I'm willing to try. And because I am so motivated to make money, let's be real, I'm so motivated to make money. I genuinely think that something will come of this, or at least I'm hopeful. So I'll be able to make money eventually, and maybe just not in the way I thought. You know, I have a teaching degree. I thought I was going to be a teacher, and the job applications for that unfortunately have not been successful. And yeah, no career path is easy, but I think especially if you don't have connections in specific fields, and there are tons of unemployed teachers, that's also something that I didn't really think about. It's about who you know. Unfortunately, that is the world we are living in, and it's not always based on merit, which does and doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel better in the sense of, you know, just because I'm not being validated in this certain way, like not getting the job I wanted, or, you know, not being absorbed in the company that I worked at last year, it doesn't mean that I wasn't excellent. Like, people contact me, like check up on me from my last job. You know, the kids that I worked with at the school I worked at, they really, I know that I made an impact on them. Like, they yeah, they cried when they heard I was leaving. So that is a testament to how well I did. Like, yes, I'm not getting that financial validation or even like the job that I was working my butt off for, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't good at what I did. It just means that that space was not the space for me. So yeah, the job that I'm going to be starting next week is in a completely different field. It's in a completely different field, which means that yes, there is an opportunity for me to make money, and it's just not in the way I thought. And that's okay. I just have to be open-minded, and I need to make use of my creative problem-solving skills. I mentioned being scared of complete social isolation, but that's not the worst thing in the world. I go out by myself a lot, and whenever I go out, I meet lots of people, or at least a lot of the time. I often have meaningful social interactions. Like, yes, I'm not out with friends or whatever, but I have had some of my most interesting adventures and conversations with people that I didn't even know. And with a lot of the places that I frequent, I, recognize a few friendly faces. Like, there are people who are actually happy to see me when I go to some of these spaces. So they might not be friends, but they're people in my community who know about me and who are aware of my existence to some extent. And it does make me feel connected to the broader society, which is what I want. I think that's what is really lacking from my life, is just that human connection. But I've truly been going out there and making an effort to connect with people, even if it's not in a way that is common, or at least by society standards. Romantic relationships are not a measure of my value. Because I exist, I inherently have value. It's not about what I have, who I know, who loves me, how popular I am, the relationship I'm in. My value is inherent. I also date a lot. So that's definitely an indication that I am desirable, whether I want to admit it or not. I'm on dates very, very often, which means that there are people who like me, who think that I am a good mate or would be a good mate. So it means that I am purposefully being picky and saying, nah, I don't want that guy. And being alone is also just not, it's not the end of the world. Like, of course, it's natural and normal to desire a romantic relationship, but also when I think about the kind of relationship I want, do I want to just be with anybody? I am also not any less deserving than any other person on the planet. You know, all sorts of people get into relationships. Like, you know, people watch my 600-pound life and they're like, all these people have partners. Yes, they do, because society has been lying to you. Society has been lying to us. Like, we are all deserving of love. And we all have flaws, okay? Just because of your size or how much or how little you're making, where you live, your job, you know, those are not things that make you more or less deserving of love. Everyone deserves love. In this alone period, I had to dig deep and ask myself if I really love myself. Do I take care of myself? Do I treat myself the way I so easily and freely want to treat other people? Because it really does have to start on the inside. And, you know, once I started doing some of those things, I did start to feel less lonely. But yeah, I am picky and I am scared of love, like real, 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 real love. Because I got my heart broken a few years ago. And I think I gave that person my everything, you know, like I truly thought that was my husband, okay? And after that person, I have to admit that I was jaded. I was jaded after that heartbreak, you know, like everything I thought I knew about the world and love completely changed. And so I think I am just afraid to give myself to someone like that again. So I'm single because a part of me is also keeping it that way. And, you know, maybe I am a loser, but I think that is also kind of untrue because I have so many more hobbies than I've ever had in my life. Like my kid self did not have this many hobbies. So I have so many hobbies and so many more creative outlets than I ever have in my entire life. I actually make and share art on a regular basis. Like that's honestly one like a dream come true. Like I don't make money off of it. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, maybe it maintains the integrity of my art. But I actually create and share art now instead of being too scared to share the stuff that I make and create. And in me sharing, I've actually managed to connect with people. Like there are people who like my art. There are people who look forward to getting to interact with my art. Like writing, for instance. I write on Substack now, like pretty consistently, almost every week. Like I try every week, every 2 weeks at the most, to post something that is meaningful. That's also like the other thing. It's actually something that means something to me. So I actually make an effort to post something, to write something that is meaningful, a life lesson that I've learned. And there are people who talk to me about it. There are people who resonate with the stuff that I write, and that means the world to me. I also make fashion content. I hate calling it content. But, I've always been complimented on my outfits, and fashion is one of my art forms, I feel. And so I actually started sharing my outfits on TikTok, and I don't have like a large following or anything. I don't know if I ever will have a large following. And also, I don't really think it's a desire of mine. I think it just makes me happy to share. And yeah, I've had to get over that initial embarrassment of like the very, very few views and likes that I get. And also that people from my everyday life can see it and see that, yeah, only 3 people liked my video, but it's fine. But it's just been so good to just share, not just to consume content, but to actually create it and share it, to be making things that other people get to enjoy, you know. So it's been fun. And also, it doesn't matter who does and doesn't see my work. It doesn't matter who does and doesn't like the stuff that I create. I feel like that's also something that I've been so caught up in, is getting that love, admiration, validation, encouragement from people. But yeah, the older you get, the less people care. But I matter, and I should care about myself. I do care about myself. I care. I care. I'm not sure if anyone's gonna see this. I mean, no one watched all the other videos that I made. Although I did private them. I thought I was gonna try the YouTube thing, but then I wasn't really able to be consistent. But I thought maybe these yearly check-ins are at least something that I can keep up with. I don't know if anyone's gonna see this, but it was just on my heart to share, because a lot of what we see online is very curated, and I think if you fall outside of what is considered successful, natural, normal, all of those good things, it's very easy to feel like you're doing something wrong, or that whatever you've got going on in your life or not going on, whatever you value, all the ways that you feel you are making progress and are successful, it's easy to feel like those things don't count because it's not what our society values. But for anyone who does happen to come across this, I truly hope that you know that you are the one who decides what has value. Even when we spend our money on things, we as people, because we have that money represents a little bit of the power that we have. With this money in my hand, if I am prepared to pay for something, then I'm the one saying that that thing is valuable. Same with attention. If I watch something the whole way through, then I'm saying it is worth my attention. And the same is true for you in your own life. You can decide, you can take your attention away from all those people who are doing things that you don't necessarily agree with, and you can focus it on your own life and say, whatever I'm doing here, the things that I'm choosing to give my attention to are the things that I am going to put my value in. So, yeah, you are not alone. That's also my other big message in life. I am not alone. I have myself, and everyone I encounter along my journey is a bonus. And also, when I do meet the people I want to meet and keep in my life forever, I need to be ready to keep them, right? So that means I have to work on myself and be the person who can keep those people who are desirable to me, but also more than anything, the bottom line is I have value. I matter to myself. I love myself, or at least we're working on it. And I truly believe that if I move through the world in my own unique way, not like anybody else, if I move through this world in my unique way, that things will just have no choice but to work out for me.